So that's the learning outcome. So yeah. So next two slides, I think you will see there's a series of statistics from different places, including so the first one is about in the United States. The running see congestion in if you divide the congestion in the United States, there are what we call the recurring congestion and non-recurring congestion. So you know the difference between the two, recurring and non-recurring congestion. So we're dividing congestion into two different categories. So you know the difference between recurring and non-recurring. So recurring, the word, and then non-recurring. Do you know the difference? Do you know the word recurring? Just the English word, do you know the word recurring? Again and again. Okay. So what does it tell you about recurring congestion and then non-recurring congestion? So one that happens again and again, one that doesn't happen again and again. So what are the two differences? Can you give me an example of a recurring congestion and a non-recurring congestion? The one is happening again and again, which is recurring, the other one is non-recurring. So what's the difference?
Just like the cross-harbor for there's a recurring congestion on the west, because it is due to the fee collection problem, so that the problem will continuously exist. The non-recurring congestion will happen due to, for example, some accidents or some road repairing, so that it may exist for maybe short period of time, but will not consistently exist.
Perfect. So, except you mentioned one point. So what you described is just perfect. So in terms of recurring, it's something that happens all the time. Cross-harbor tunnel is a perfect example. It's always, how many hours a day? Every day is congested because the demand exceeds the capacity. You have this problem. Okay? So those are conditions. And when you have a crash, accident, incident, or you have roadworks or road repairs and things like that, or vehicle broken down, which you don't see very often. So those are non-recurring. It doesn't happen every day. It happens at random. So those are recurring congestion. So today, this lecture is about it's about those non-recurring congestion. Okay? Not about the one that happens every day. Now, he made a very interesting point about cross-harbor tunnel. And I want you to think about it because we're going to cover a little bit of that. I can't remember, maybe week 8 or something like that. What he mentioned about recurring congestion of cross-harbor tunnel was that the congestion was caused by fee collection. Is that what he said? What's the name again? I forgot. What's the name again? Henry. Is that what you say? The congestion was caused by fee collection at toll tunnel. He said because of the toll collection, and that causes the congestion. So how many people agree with that statement? Do you agree? Why you don't agree?
It's just like a open, really about the key traffic process. Of course, it extends the time in the program, but if you can't have all this road.
It's with this, if you say 1 to 8 lanes together before it enter the tunnel, but when it enter the tunnel, there are only 2 lanes. So the process will cost a lot of time.
Okay. So if you remove the toll, what happens? So if you remove the channelization, so what happens? Do you think it's going to be, you remove the congestion? I agree. Because there's a technology implication for that, right? So we're going to talk about toll, electronic tolling in some lectures, maybe lecture 8 or something, I can't remember. We'll talk about that, you know. So sometimes technology and the situation we need to think carefully. So even if we remove toll, let's suppose we remove all the barriers in the toll tunnel, we're not going to solve the problem. Right? We can agree, right? It's very simple. I don't know, 7 lanes or whatever number of lanes to 2. So you have a limited capacity over there. That's the problem. Okay. So traffic incidents is not just about primary crashes, but also secondary crashes. That after one incident, and sometimes people are not careful, they may be watching the incidents or distracted. So there's another incident out to that. So after the crash, so vehicles broken down, somebody might spill some load on the road. So these are incidents that are they can cause a lot of delays. Okay? And of course, accidents in terms of casualties, there are, I think, about 130, 150 in Hong Kong every fatality every year. So which is quite a large, high numbers. So those accidents causes congestion. So they close the road. If you look at fatalities, about 130 in Hong Kong, about 16,000 traffic accidents per year. So that's a lot of incidents that can cause that block some part of the road and they can cause congestion. Okay. So what are the major causes of crashes? So there are lots of studies that look at crashes. Do you know why I avoid using the word accidents instead of crashes rather than accidents? People in the safety community, the safety community, transport safety, they do not like the word accidents. Accidents. When we use the word accidents, it means, what does it mean to you? That's right. So it's kind of like, oh well, something unpredictable, like something happened. That's why they do not like the word accidents, because found that more than 90% of the very high numbers, over 80%, some depending on the literature, they talk about figures that 90% of the accidents are preventable. They are due to human errors. So they are not accidents, they are human errors. So human errors is one of the major causes of crashes. Drink driving in some countries is a very important, it's a very serious thing. But some countries also have very strict rules about drink driving. More contemporary problems is the mobile phone use and distraction. You know, so a lot of people are texting, like guy behind. He's busy texting, and then very distracted. That's how crashes happens. Very contemporary. Speeding is another one. The bad weather conditions is another. So just imagine a scenario where there are two vehicles crash on the highway. You know, what are the sequence of events from the moment the crash to the time when the traffic gets back to normal? So what do you think happens? So there's a crash, and then what happens? So from that point, there's a crash, to the point where everything returns to normal. What's the sequence of events? Perhaps somebody called the police. In Hong Kong it's 999, is it right? So somebody called 999. What else? So let's suppose somebody calls 999. What happened then? So there's a crash like that. Somebody calls 999. So who's blocking it? Who blocks that? Whose job is that? Police. Okay, so the police. So you call 999. I was going to say 911. 999, and somebody is going to call the police, right? And then the police comes, and the police block the road. Is that correct? The police block the road, or is it somebody from the highway department? In Hong Kong? Okay. Okay, the police comes. Then what happens? The crash like that. What happens? The police comes, block the road. He controls the traffic. And then? Okay. If there's somebody injured, they have to call the ambulance. So they need to determine what situation, right? What services is needed. Whether do they need fire engine, whether they need ambulance, whether it's the police. So the police comes, it controls. Before the police come, what happens in that area? What happens to the traffic? The congestion. So what's the difference between when let's suppose, what he said, he puts the cone, he divides, let's say you close 2 lanes, in this situation, let's say 4 lanes and you close 2 lanes. So before that, perhaps more lanes may be disrupted. So after the police comes, at least there's a bit more order. Right? So maybe he can sort of clear 1 or 2 of those lanes. And then the emergency services and whatever could do their job. You know what happened after that? So the police come, the road is kind of channelized. You allow some traffic to go, somebody directing the traffic, and then a crash like this. What happened? Let's say nobody died. We can forget. But say something, some crash. So what happened? But the car is immobilized. So if somebody died, then there's a forensic unit who comes and do all the reporting. It's quite different. So they will. If there's a fatality, so there's a forensic unit that will come and do all the reporting. If it's just a minor crash, they will not do much reporting inside. So then after that, what happens? Somebody needs to remove the car, right? Okay. The tow trucks will come and remove the car. The tow trucks is run privately, right? In Hong Kong? No? Yes? The police doesn't run that, right? Okay. So the tow truck will come, and then they will tow the vehicles. So at that point, the police can kind of they can kind of open the road, right? Yes. Is it true? Yes. Now all the immobile, the vehicles involved in the crash has been removed. Okay. So then they should be able to open the road. Yes. So and then does the traffic return back to normal immediately? So it take a bit of time, right? Because some queue and then it falls. Okay. So you can see that there's a sequence of events. When there's a crash, somebody reported. Sometimes somebody called. Somebody may be tweeting. Somebody may be sending messages via some apps. Because apps like Waze, do you know the Waze app? It's kind of like a Google map thing, actually built by Google, called Waze, W-A-Z-E. So you can actually report incidents like that, W-A-Z-E. So it's quite convenient to report that as well. So somebody could call, somebody could be tweeting. So those things happen, right? And then the emergency services will come. The police comes, control the traffic, maybe do some reporting. Tow truck comes, remove the cars, and then open the road, and then traffic go back to normal. So this is a kind of a sequence, a bit like that. So incident occurs, there's the time for detection. So if you're using sensors or cameras to capture, so this time it takes a bit of time, could be 1 or 2 minutes. Somebody reported or somebody reporting it. Then there's a verification. So often there are cameras on the road. They can watch on the cameras and say that to confirm that there's actually an accident, right? And then also try to determine the severity of the accident. And then the response, they'll send either police, the ambulance, the fire brigade, or whatever is necessary to the scene. They come to the scene, and then they will control to manage the traffic so that it is safe for the ambulance and people to work in that area. And then after that, the vehicles are removed, and then incident is cleared. The incident is cleared here, but it will take some time for it to go back to normal. Okay, so it doesn't clear the incident and go back to normal. So there's a sequence of events like that. Okay. So we talk about it can be through, if you're on the highway, it could be through phones. Talk about tweeting, navigation apps like Waze. You can actually report quite easily. You can make a phone call. Not every place in the world where the control is done by the police. For example, this is in Australia. The police direct the traffic, but they're not necessarily the main person doing that. Okay. So these are ways that incidents are reported. They could be detected using some AI, artificial intelligence, using TVs. So the incident timeline is interesting. So first of all, when we talk about incidents, when somebody reported, so somebody needs to check that there is actually an incident. So somebody might be calling a prank call. There's actually no incident, but somebody just make a call. So then you check that there's a case, and then when the response, there are quite a lot of different units that were sent. There could be fire trucks, could be police, ambulance, and something. And then when the emergency services arrive, they take control of the situation, attend to those people who are injured, they clear the wreckage, they clear the roadway, and then all the lanes are opened, and then traffic returns back to normal. Okay. So if we do it in terms of a cumulative plot, this is number of vehicles arrival and departure, and this is the time. So how many of you are familiar with cumulative plot? Have you seen it before? Okay. So before the incident, this is a non-recurrent incident. The arrival and departure are the same. The arrivals continue at the same rate. Now, what happens is that there's an incident. So instead of your 4 lanes, you're down to 2, just like the picture we saw. So your capacity drop, right? And not only 4 to 2, but the third and fourth lane people are slowing down. They may be looking at the incident and so on. So you lose a lot of capacity here, right? So then somebody, the police, maybe the police, they come and they control the traffic. Okay? So they block they clear, they channelize the traffic, they regulate the traffic. So now you have suddenly increase in capacity, slightly, not. And after that, everything is removed. You have full capacity to use. But it takes a while for it to go back to normal, to clear everything. So the shaded area here is the total delay for the peak. So if you look at these guys arriving here, so he would depart at this point. So that's the time he spent in this area. So that's for one person, then you add up all the delay for everybody, that gives you the total delay. Okay. So why is that important? Is that, you know, if you want to reduce the congestion, the way is that you want to make this graph here, this area here smaller. Right? There are a few things that we can do. If we respond to the incident quicker, so that means that from here, we're moving to here, right? Because even though this capacity, this rate is the same, right? But we are just pushing this back here a little bit. So if you get to the incident quicker, that's one thing. If you remove the incident quicker, that's another one. So you can actually shift the one right here. Also the demand here, right? So if we get people to use other routes, so the demand would drop. So we can actually drop the demand. So there are things that we can do. Right? So we detect the incident quicker, we respond to the incident faster, we clear the incident quicker, and also we can divert the traffic. So when we do all this, this becomes our area of the total congestion, right? The total flow. Okay. In this example, at which point can you tell me is the longest queue you get? Sorry?
The point from the arrival line to the acceptance window.
Arrival. The top button. That's the delay, right? The time. Because this is observing.
And this here.
Okay. So in this diagram, I think it is correct. So just from this figure, I think it's correct that it's about from here to here. So this is the total number of vehicles in the system. Okay. But the person who has the longest time is probably this one. Actually, that's the longest time. And probably at this point is probably the longest queue. The number of people in the system. Okay. So this is how you can use the cumulative diagram. But there is also another way to look at this. So we can look at how long it takes for the traffic to return to normal. So for example, how long is the queue when the incident occurred? So how long does it take for traffic to return to normal? After the lanes are cleared, and from the time of the incident. So these are something that we could do using another method. Okay? So for the next 20 minutes, I hope we can finish the next part. So this is the scenario that we're going to look at. You have a crash at time t0. You have 2 lanes. after the crash, both lanes are closed. Okay? And then at time t opening of lane 1, TOP1, one lane is open. So now, initially, from here to here, all the lanes are blocked. So you have two lanes going, so then if crash happens, two lanes are blocked. At this point, one lane is opened. TOP2, both lanes are opened. Okay? And then actually I prefer to use normal. The T clear here, so all the queues has been cleared. Okay? So that's good. So the situation here is that we have everything is moving. You have two lanes, and then the flow is 3,000 vehicles per hour. 3,000 vehicles per hour. So everybody is moving. So let's say this is the fundamental diagram. So you have a triangle fundamental diagram. This is a free flow situation. This is a congested region. Yeah. So this is a critical density. So the capacity is at 2,000. This is for one lane. And then because we have two lanes, so we get 4,000. Okay. So let's suppose we are going. This is a freeway. We're going 100 kilometers per hour. By the speed, the congestion time is 20 kilometers per hour. Okay? So the speed is the flow over density. So that's the speed. Right? So that's the slope is the speed. Okay? So we're just talking about fundamental diagram for two lanes. Okay, so remember the scenario says that there's a crash. So two lanes are blocked. Time t equals 0. So two lanes are blocked completely. So what happens when these two lanes are blocked? What happens to the vehicles here? So you close the road here. What happens? What happens to the car coming? Okay, they have to slow down. At this point, what happens?
Stop.
They have to stop. So when this guy stops, what happens at the back? What does it mean? Cause congestion. What happens to the car? So this is closed. These two cars has stopped. Now what happened to these two cars? Okay, they slow and then they will stop too, right? So then everybody is going to do the same because they cannot get through, correct? So everybody has to slow down to that point and they have to start to stop. So everybody starts queuing up. Right? So the queue is going which way? This way or this way? This way. Okay. So now the queue is forming this way, right? Because those coming, they cannot get through. So they have to come. The queue starts moving back this way. So have you been in the traffic? Sometimes you see that there is a kind of a phantom bottleneck that people are slowing down and you pass through a certain point, you go very fast, but there's actually nothing there. Okay, so I think this is what you see later, is that there's one wave where the queue starts to go, right? Keep going, and people are coming in. But when this one is open, so everybody starts clearing, right? So after the queue clearing will catch up with the end of that queue. So if you're coming, and after you pass one point, you'll be moving quite fast. But then you say, it's okay, well, what happened? But the incident is actually down here, but it has been cleared. Yeah, are you following? Right? Because of the incident, the queue starts coming back. Right? But then after the queue is cleared, so the queue starts clearing. Okay, so they're clearing quite fast, and then if you are moving at the back, you kind of grip moving slowly, but once you pass a certain point, you're moving very fast. But at that point, there's no incident at all, right? But the incident was actually much further. Sometimes you don't see, you're driving and you don't understand what happened. Okay, so in this particular case, we stopped, right? We agreed that it went from 3,000 vehicles, and then suddenly it stopped. Okay, it stopped because two lanes are blocked. So the speed that the queue is going backwards is this one, okay. V21, V21, or region 1 to 2. Agree? So we were running at this 300 kilometers per hour, and it stopped. So this is V21 like that. So what it means is that this region here, so we call it region 1 coming free flow. So now it stopped. So the queue is moving backwards. Yeah. Right? So the speed that is moving backward is V21. This speed here. Okay? So this is how we calculate. Right? So that's the speed going backward. Okay? So far so good? Okay. So the way you calculate V21 is just the Q2 minus Q1, K2 minus K1. So this is Q2 is 0 because nobody got through. Q1 is 3,000, which is the origin, the initial state, and then the difference in capacity in the density, K2 versus K1. So this is how you get V21. Okay, very simple. So what happens is that after a while, the OP1, so this is the lane 1, it's open. So the police came, and then they open this lane. So they control the traffic, one lane is open. But this one is too close. So now you are down to only one lane. But we know that the initial capacity of one lane is 2,000 vehicles at critical density of 20. Right? So these guys here, because there's nothing blocking it downstream, so you can take 2,000 vehicles with a density of 20, because that's from the fundamental diagram we know that. Right? So when this starts to move, you can see another wave starts coming this way. Just like when we block the two, this wave, the queue starts moving this way. Right? But when we start to open, you can see that this guy starts moving, right? So that wave comes that way. Right? So your region 3. Okay, let's look at another figure first, then we come back. Okay, so when we opened one lane, we know that it is running at 2,000. Okay, and so the 3.2 is running at this is the 2,000 vehicles per hour going this way, so 3,000. So there's a V32, which is this one, which is the backwards speed. Let me go back again. So 3.2 is the speed of this region coming back, and then V3 is the one going through. Okay, this is 100 kilometers per hour. I'll go back forward again. So V4 is free flow. Okay, free flow, region number 4. So this point is here, where everybody is clear to go. V32 is the one. V32 is here. That they were running at. They were initially nobody is moving to 2,000 vehicles moving. Okay, because 2 lanes was blocked to 3 lanes. So this one is going at this speed. Okay. So what we know is that the speed here, v32, is actually greater than v21. Slope here is greater than this one. You with me? Are you lost? So let's start again, right? So initially they're running at 3,000. There was an accident, so everybody, so there was an accident. So people stopped. They opened one lane, so that lane has this capacity, it's a 2,000 capacity, right? So those downstream are running at 100 kilometers per hour. At that region, from 2 to 3, we have another shockwave coming back this way, but they're running at this speed. Okay? So this after lane 1 is open. So when both lanes are closed, this is when one lane is open. So you can see that from the slope, this one is faster speed than this one. Now, because this speed here is faster than this one, so that means that at some point in time, this one is going to catch up to this, right? At some point in time. So this wave is moving because of 2 lanes are blocked. This one is moving because 1 lane is open, but this is moving at a faster speed. Okay. So at some point in time, this wave is going to catch up to this, right? Because they are moving faster. It's only logical. So the point where this caught up with this should be the maximum back of Q, right? Because this is when the Q are moving back, and that's when that one's trying to clear. And so at that point, this is where you have the maximum back of Q. Okay. So your maximum back of Q is when your region 3 and region 2 meets. Okay. And if your V21 times your time where you have a maximum length, because the V32 maximum length time, that's the time when lane 1 is open, so you can work out the time where you have the maximum back of Q. Okay. So these are quite the simple mathematics. So now we get to the next situation where both lanes are not opened. So you have running at full capacity, right? So when you run at that, there's another wave coming, which is V53, V53, because region 5 and region 3. So this is another wave coming. So this one is running faster than this, so this is going to catch up. And then at some point, and then next, so we have a situation where, I'll just repeat. So you start with 3,000, then you have both lanes are closed. You open one lane, it has the 2,000 capacity. And then you open 2 lanes, which is 4,000 capacity. So you move from here, 2 lanes are closed, 1 lane is opened, 2 lanes opened. Okay? So you can see, so when you move from this stage, 1 lane to 2 lanes open, so this is the speed. But you notice that this speed and this speed are the same. So now, so what we said before was that this one is running faster than this, so this is going to catch up, and then you have another speed coming here. But these two speeds are the same. Okay, so this is slower than this one and this one is the same. This is going to catch up to this point, and after that you become a region 3-1, and then this is going to catch up with the next wave. So let me see whether I can have another graph. So so this one is going to catch up because it's faster. So when it caught up, it becomes like this 3-1. But you have another one moving, right? The reason why is that this one and this one are running at the same speed, so they cannot catch up with each other, right? So there's no way to catch up. They're only running the same speed. But this one is going to catch up with here because this is running faster than this. So that's what we have. Oh, sorry. That's what. So they caught up here. And then what you see next is that this one is slower than this. So this is going to catch up. Okay. So once this caught up with this, everything is back to normal. So because 3-1 is here, 5-3 is here. So you can see the speed difference. Okay. So this is going to catch up sometimes. So when they caught up, everything is back to normal. So this is when they all caught up. So time, if T clear is the time it backs to normal. So this is T clear is when the region 5-3 after after the both lanes are open, that's when things go back to normal. Do you want me to explain again? Or do you want to go through the notes and then we can, if a question you can ask next lecture. It takes a while to think about the concept of how the shock wave catch one another. Okay. So if I can use so basically what we're saying is that they're running at free flow, and suddenly both lanes are closed, so nobody could get through. So there's the shock wave coming back here, and then we opened one lane. Okay. So we opened one lane. There's a shock wave, second shock wave coming back, but this speed, you can see this speed is faster than this, so this is going to catch up. Okay. And then we opened second lane. The second lane has this speed. Okay. So when this one caught up with this, it is running at this speed. Okay. But remember, this and this one cannot catch up because they are same speed, right? So they're only, this one comes later. So when one lane opened, caught up with when no lanes opened, it becomes this region here. Okay. But you can see that this one is lower than this, so at some point he's going to catch up with this. So when they caught up, so the whole queue is cleared. Okay? So you just have to work that out. So the time for this shock wave to catch up with this is the maximum queue, because this is where the queue is accumulating. No lane is closed, so accumulating. That's where the maximum queue is. Maximum. When it's returning back to normal is when this one caught up with this. But that's how it works. You need to go through the notes and then see how it is. But we can, in next week, the week after, we're going to go through some tutorials about this. Okay. So you can have some. You go through the notes, and there's if you anything you don't understand, you can bring it to the tutorial. So there's another example about another variation to the problem. You can. There's a scenario here. You can actually try it at home. All right. So this scenario here is that you have time when both lanes are open at the same time. So your two lanes are closed, and then instead of one lane opened and then the next, you have two lanes open at the same time. So this is a simpler example. And you can try this and see whether you have the answer. Okay, I think we can skip this. Okay, so today we went through some exercises, some talked about how to do instantaneous travel time, and I'll give you an example about time slice travel time. Right? And then we went through incident management. We talked about timeline, what happened after incidents. And they verify the incidents, they send somebody there, they clear the incident, and then the incident goes back to normal. So we look at ways to calculate the queue length, and then the time to go back to normal using the fundamental diagram. And as we saw from the cumulative curve, the important thing is that if we need to detect, if we want to reduce the congestion or the delay, we can detect the incident quickly, if we can respond quickly, or we can clear the incidents as quickly as possible. So these are the things that will help reduce the congestion. And also, not included here is that if we divert the traffic too, we reduce the demand as well. Okay. Any questions before we take a break? No? So after the break, we're going to talk about two things. Asan is going to show you the blackboard, the materials that we have put in. We have put in a lot of materials on the blackboard. So you help. We talk to you about where you find some of the resources and so forth. And then after that, I'm going to go through the assignment one again. Okay, some of the questions that you might have. Timothy has some questions. And this is what we do for the next hour. Right? I initially talk about Python, but we have the discussion. I'm not sure that's really useful for you. Okay, so we take 10 minutes break, and then we'll come back 10:40. Do you want me to say that? 很少动的。